Hi y'all, I am so excited to finally share this recipe with you. This is a recipe I've been making for over 20 years. I used to make it for my kids and put it in their lunch boxes, and everybody would just go crazy, absolutely crazy for them. They are gluten-free chocolate chunk cookie cakes. It's a mouthful to say, but boy, are they good. You probably had nothing like this before. It's like a cross between a chocolate chip cookie and a vanilla cupcake, and it is to die for. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make them. First thing I'm going to do is butter and flour my pan. This is a mini loaf pan, and I'm using this because the original recipe, which was developed by Marcel Desagnes, he was around long before Food Network, and he's also kind of local to my area. He's in Williamsburg and I'm in Virginia Beach, which is about an hour away, and he created these like into little bricks, and it's almost like gold bricks because they are just that good. But I used to make them also just using a regular cupcake tin, or even like Valentine's heart shaped silicone molds. Whatever I had, whatever the occasion, everybody went crazy for them. So however you want to make them look, they are going to taste phenomenal. It doesn't matter. So in the stand mixer or a handheld mixer, a large bowl with a handheld mixer, we're going to start by creaming the butter and the sugars together until super light and fluffy. So this is 1 cup or 226 grams of butter. Make sure it's at room temperature. And 1 cup or 200 grams of light brown sugar and 3/4 cup or 150 grams of granulated sugar. And we're going to beat this on low for a minute, and then we're going to crank it up to medium high and beat it for another 6 minutes. I told you it was until very light and fluffy. Now, if you don't have one of these beater blades that scrape like I do, stop it halfway through and scrape down the sides of the bowl and the bottom of the bowl just to get everything well combined. And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and stir together our dry ingredients, which is 280 grams or 2 cups of my all-purpose gluten-free flour blend, along with a teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and just whisk that together and set it aside. Going back to our creamed mixture, this looks absolutely perfect, nice and light and fluffy, just like we wanted it. So now we can turn it down to low and start adding in our eggs one at a time. There are 3 of them. And what we need to do is let that incorporate for about 30 seconds before adding the second one in, and then the third one as well. I think what makes these so wonderful is all this beating. It incorporates a lot of air and it creates this super duper silky smooth texture to these little cakes that just blows your mind. So now that we've added all the eggs, we'll crank up the mixer once again to medium high and beat for another 2 minutes. And 2 minutes later, and this is exactly what it should look like. It is super silky, creamy, smooth, perfect. So now I'm going to turn down the speed and we'll add in our dry ingredients. And by the way, I failed to mention earlier that if you've made my chocolate chip cookie recipe, that recipe came from the same pastry chef who created this recipe, Marcel Desagnes. Like I said before, he is a very well-known pastry chef from back in the day, back before Food Network or anything else was even on TV. He was on TV on like PBS or something, but he's written many cookbooks all about chocolate. I have every single one of them, and I've been making his recipes since my kids were little. They're in their 20s now, and I'm telling you, everybody just goes crazy over any of the recipes of his I make. So now I'm adding in sour cream, and this will also help with the texture, the nice silky smooth, tender, light texture of these little cakes. And the final thing before we add in the chocolate is vanilla. It's supposed to be about 1 tablespoon. I just eyeball it, so it might be a little more, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. So now for the best part, the chocolate. I am adding semi-sweet chocolate chunks to this. You can also use dark chocolate and just fold it through. I chopped up my own from large chocolate bars. You can also buy them probably in a package like Nestle or Hershey or what have you. Alrighty then, all we have left to do is scoop it and bake. I like to use 2 spoons like this because it just seems to work better than a scoop for obvious reasons. A scoop is round, these are rectangles, and I also like to fill them all the way to the top. You can also just fill them 3/4 of the way if you want a little shorter cake and you just bake them for a little less time. I have baking differences in the recipe because if you do them in like a cupcake tin or a smaller tin than these little mini cakes, you will of course have to alter the baking time. So we will bake these at 350 Fahrenheit, and if you're using a pan just like this, it will be about 26 to 28 minutes or until they spring back when lightly touched, and they'll be nice and golden brown. Okay, you guys, it's been 10 minutes since these have been out of the oven. I let them cool in the pan so they kind of solidify just a little bit before removing them with either a little flexible spatula or a butter knife or whatever, and they come out of the pan nice like this. They look like little gold bricks. I was going to cut these in half at the diagonal, but I decided against that because they are still so warm. I just want to show you, I'll just pull it apart and show you the inside and see this melty chocolate and this, it's like a cookie and a cake had a baby. That's the only way I can explain it. It is just phenomenal. Probably one of my kids, my family's best treats I've ever made. Enjoy.